Hello Mr. Randy Duck and welcome back for another video. Today I've got 3 replays in the brand new Tier 8 Japanese heavy premium tank, the Type 63. Now this tank was released yesterday, and what I will do before we get into the replays, I'll briefly go over the tank as it's a brand new tank, and then we'll get into the gameplays and you can see for yourself. So, in a nutshell, what is this heavy tank? It is a semi-mobile. I say that because it's got a top speed of 40 kilometers an hour, and it seems to get there okay. Hold down heavy tank. This tank is very, very good when it is hold down. It has a very decent turret. Now, it also has a automatic siege mode, which means when you're going below 25 kilometers an hour, which is actually increased from other siege modes, you get 12 degrees of gun depression. That happens automatically, and this normally when you're driving you get 8 degrees of gun depression. So that basically entitles it. What it means is when this tank is hold down on a ridge line, you can use that turret armor very effectively, and you can bounce quite a lot of shots off of the turret. The whole armor itself is pretty poor. You have a 320 alpha gun with decent DPM. I think the DPM I've got it down to about 2,813. You have standard AP rounds with 230 AP pen with a decent shell velocity of 1,150 for the AP rounds, and then you have 290 heat pen with your 950 shell velocity for your heat shells. So in a nutshell, this tank is very good at hold down. The main drawback for me for this tank is the automatic siege mode. Just the nature of the automatic siege mode can make it quite clunky, and you get a lot of sort of bobbling, which can cause you to miss shots. That's somewhat better in this tank just because your siege mode is now activated at 25 kilometers an hour, so it doesn't just accidentally come on and off when you're reversing down the ridge, but it can be a little bit awkward and to use, and that's probably the main downfall, or the thing what makes me less enjoy this tank is that. Other than that, the tank is fairly balanced. The actual gun accuracy on this tank is fantastic, and you can really hit those shots really well. But that's enough of me rambling on. I don't want to go on too much here while you're sitting there getting bored listening to me. I'll just get into the replays, and it's easier just to show the tank as the replays progress. Okay, so here we are for the first replay then on Live Oaks. And if you want to see the equipment and crew I am using, you'll see it at the bottom of the screen now. Now this is Live Oaks Encounter Battle, but what I would like to do, what way I'm going to go is straight down the tracks this side, mainly because I want to utilise the ability of this tank to go hold down, and it's a good opportunity to do so because there's lots of ridges this way. There's also no enemy artillery pieces, so that's going to be nice that I can be hold down without having to worry about getting shot by the artillery. There is quite a lot of tank destroyers though, however, so I have got a gut feeling that I'm not going to get I'm not going to get many resistance coming this way, and you'll see what I like to do when I come into a scenario when I push this side and then I find out there's nothing here, and we'll get to that later on. So as we appear, already I'm thinking there's not much here, so I'm playing quite aggressively. Our medium tank's already spotted it out, and so far it's looking pretty good. I want to push over. I don't want to waste too much time because it is an encounter battle and I don't want to risk getting capped out, so I do have to try and make sure I am alert of the pace of the game and try and get there. As we poke up, we're just going to see if we spot anything. We do spot a TD. Now this is where you're going to see one of the weaknesses of this tank as well. Because it's got that siege mode, it only has a max elevation of 9 degrees, so I wasn't able to aim my tank gun up enough to get the shots in there like you would in most other tanks. So that is something you have to be aware of, that your elevation is pretty poor. But we get to this hill here when now we activate that automatic siege mode, and you can see we've got 12 degrees of gun depression, so we can really use those ridge lines pretty well. But the enemy team are kind of pushing the cap and also camping on the ridge on the right hand side. So I am going to play very aggressive. What I like to do is not continue moving down the left, actually cut right down the water and I like to try and get underneath a ridge so I can light all the tanks which camp on the enemy sort of camping hill at like the E23, and just basically keep all the tanks spotted and be able to get side shots into them from a really good position. And that's what I like to do when I know there's not much on the left hand side, when I've sort of pushed and there's nothing there. But before we do that, there is an AFK tank. I am going to just try and take out this tank, mainly because just in case he comes AFK, I don't want him to just come back into the game and then start shooting me. But it looks like he's pretty much taken out. Now, I've managed to pick up 1,400 assistance in a heartbeat just for spotting this hill here. And this is what I was talking about. Because there was no resistance on the other side, I was able to push to this ridge, and I am in a fantastic position because nothing can get to the right of me because I've got friendly teammates on the right hand side, and we've essentially trapped the enemy team. But because it is the encounter battle, the enemy team are in the cap circle, and I do need to try and see if I can get over there to get some resets. We managed to pick up a decent 2,000 assistance and 1,000 damage there, all from just spotting those tanks from that position. But I need to try and push forward. We are in danger of getting capped out here. I'm praying that someone is going to get the reset, and thankfully they do. And that buys us a lot more time now. I think some of the enemy team have got out of the cap circle, and we don't necessarily have to worry too much about the cap being capped out in this moment. We've got 3 minutes left on the clock. So I know there's still quite a lot of tank destroyers around here. I want to try and get a shot into this light tank, but it wasn't quite possible. I'm not going to spend too much attention to that light tank right now because I want to try and light all the enemy tank destroyers which are over this ridge here. I'm going to try and lean over and get some shots in, and hopefully we can use our go hold down. Unfortunately, I get caught out though by some sort of tank which is still in the base, and I think it's actually I think we discover later it's actually the Iron Rain, which is incredibly stealthy, and he's just punished me again. I really shouldn't have poked that same position twice. I'm going to try and get the track shot in here into that enemy tank destroyer. We have to be a little bit careful that we've just lost a lot of hit points to the deadly Iron Rain. But I do want to try and get some shots and finish this enemy tank destroyer out. The Iron Rain is a good chance he's now on reload. I know he's fired at least 2 because they went into me, but he could still have his 3rd shot in. The light tank behind me is still a bit of a pest here. I'm still ignoring the light tanks and trying to focus killing this enemy T28. You can see we hold down and we're just using that gun depression to lean over and just shoot into his cupola. And then he's going to actually really struggle to actually penetrate our turret whilst we are hold down. Now this pretty much brings us to the end of the game. We just know there's that one enemy Iron Rain. We're trying to just blind fire him. We don't hit him, and we're just going to wait for him to get detected because I don't want to poke over and let him to shoot me. He does get spotted. We get one shot in. You see he ricochets off of our turret there, and we actually end up bouncing that shot, and then we get the 2nd shot in. And we're just going to see we're trying to track him in place to see if we can pick up the kill there. But he does poke back up, enough time for us to get a final shot in, puts 3,600 damage and 2,000 assistance. And then we actually was able to sneak in the kill as well. So let's just get to the scoreboard, see how we get on before we move on to the 2nd replay. We get 3 kills, just shy of 4,000 damage and 2,000 assistance. So we had a really decent game. Now, we actually got, ignore the silver amount we got in that V-play. That's because there's a silver op on at the moment, silver of interest. So a lot of people are playing tier 8 right now to benefit from that op and learning lots of silver. So let's move on to the 2nd so here we are replay. For the 2nd replay on Proc. Now we are top tier again, and unfortunately all my videos for today's video was in top tier. I would have liked to got a bottom tier game, but I just didn't really have the time, and like I say, a lot of the matchmaking yesterday was really nice because of that silver op which was on. I was finding I was getting in a lot of tier 8 matchmaking lobbies, more than I do usually. So we're going to try and get to this ridge. There's 2 enemy light tanks and 1 enemy artillery piece. Obviously I'm concerned about the artillery, but the ridge is the best place for my tank because I've got all that gun depression. I can use the ridge line very, very effectively. So we're going to try and get there. There's quite a lot of light tanks flying around. We do pick up a tiny bit of assistance. I've got to be careful I don't get slapped by a tank destroyer. Looks like this enemy, well, friendly enemy Type 63, sorry, tried to gain the bowl position, but was able to get a shot in and you know, pick up an extra shot damage and take that tank out. One thing I should know, that enemy 63 got ammo rack. That's because the ammo rack's on the side of this tank. It's quite a big, it's sort of in the middle. Just if you look where the turret is, just below the turret, that's sort of the area you want to fire at if you're trying to damage someone's ammo rack. If you see a damaged ammo rack, you shoot there, you're probably going to detonate it. The engine is actually in the back of this tank. It's also quite large, so you can find that, you know, your engine can get damaged a fair bit in the tank if you're able to shoot that position. But when you hold down on the ridge, obviously I'm not giving them that opportunity to do so. So we're looking for shots. We've got to be a little bit careful. Like with you can see this bobbling up and down there. That's the automatic siege mode. That's the bit I say this tank can get a little bit frustrating, and that's my biggest gripe. But that's just generally the same with all sort of automatic siege mode tanks. Unfortunately, I just got absolutely slapped there from the side. I think that was something either shooting from the hill or poking up, and I got double tapped, and that was not ideal. We've lost pretty much, you know, all of half our hit points. And I decided I can't stay there anymore after that. You know, I'm not going to, you know, it's not ideal. I've lost those hit points, but we're still in the game. So I'm just going to have to try and reposition to try and spot the hill and see if any tanks start pushing over the hill. We don't really have a lot of tanks that way. And if they do push, I want to be in a position to get shots in. Enemy Oho is actually crossing the hill. Weird position for an Oho to be. We get a nice shot in the side as he crosses. We're looking to try and get that second shot in, but he just gets into the dip before we're able to land that shot. You know, I've got to be careful because I get detected where I was. I could get taken out. So I'm going to try and adjust my position. Now we spot this enemy tank destroyer here quite high up on the tracks, and there's a good chance actually it was that tank, this SU, which actually slapped me earlier. We're going to try and shoot his drive wheel. We do track him in place, which is what I was after, hoping we were going to pick up some assistance. I was also hoping I could actually pen him through the drive wheel. That just quite hasn't been possible. I tried the second shot and it just doesn't happen, so I decided, you know what, I'll just go for the lower plate, pick up a bit of damage. But that does allow him to get free. I am still, you know, he hasn't quite moved out of the way though, so I do get another shot in. We managed to pick up sort of 1600 damage, 600 assistance, and then he moves back and he actually gets taken out by our friendly setter there. Another SU gets detected. We put a shot into the SU, and we're starting to take a lot of control of this map because we've won the 1-2 line. That's kind of trapped the enemy team somewhat to play the left hand side of the tracks. So we're in the ideal position. We don't really need to move here because this is where the rest of the team are. I want to get shots into tanks in the hill, but I've got to be careful because there is members that still that SU which was alive. I know he's moved over to that track and he's probably looking potentially for shots if I get detected. So I'm trying to be cautious of that. Enemy light tank gets detected and then immediately taken out. We do pick up a tiny bit more of assistance. Tiger is crossing in the open. We do manage to land a nice shot in there. I think when you're actually using over the side of the tank, you don't always activate that siege mode, so you get less of the bobble in, which can be quite nice. There's useful information to know. And we're just trying to get as much out of this game as we can because it looks like this is pretty much over. I mean, I've seen teams come back from like this, like I'm sure we all have, but I'm feeling pretty confident right now. We've got 1,000 assistance, 3,000 damage. There is still quite a few hit points left, like you've got this full health Tiger, and I think the SU 130 PM does get taken out down the right side. We don't have to worry about that tank anymore. We're going to lean over to get a shot into this Oho. Got to be a little bit careful that he doesn't, I don't know if he's got the derp gun or what gun he's running here, but we get another shot in, leaving him on 2 or 1 shot, putting us onto 3,600 damage. Should finish off the enemy sentry, which we do. Like I said, the gun accuracy in this tank is really nice. Like, you do hit those shots. And having the AP rounds, I quite actually like having the AP rounds with that decent shell velocity. You just get better like normalization on the rounds, and it's sort of better against sort of angled targets. So I do quite like having the AP rounds when they've got, you know, decent shell velocity like this one does for the AP rounds. Do get the finish on the Tiger at the end to bring us an end to this replay. We get 1,000 assistance, 4,100 damage and 2 kills. And yeah, that's it for replay number 2. Let's move on to the final replay of the video. Okay, so here we are for the final replay then on Redshire. We are top tier again. There is 2 enemy light tanks and 2 enemy artilleries in this game. Initially, we've decided we're going to play the sort of right hand side in the ridges because again, it makes sense. We're a hold down tank, good turret armor, and that is where you want to be playing this tank. You know, if you get an opportunity to use the ridges in this tank, that's what you want to be doing because you've got 12 degrees of gun depression and a good turret. Like, they're the best things about the tank. So you want to make use of those. Like I say, it's reasonably mobile as a heavy. It's not the quickest, but it's definitely not the slowest either. So you can get across the map fairly well, and it's not that painful to move. Enemy light tank gets spotted quietly, doors playing aggressively. Enemy wheelie boy and gets taken out, and we do manage to land a shot in. So that just leaves 1 enemy light tank left, which is good for us. But the enemy artillery, or at least one of the artillery, is looking for a shot into us, trying to get one into that ramrod there. You can see the artillery shells do come in. I think that ramrod actually hits us with HE there. Yeah, he does actually shoot us for HE. I think the ramrod, to be fair, does have HEP HE rounds, so it can actually, it was never going to pen that, but it can pick up some big damage if it does pen its HEP rounds. So I'm just trying to work out what is here and how many tanks can actually look at us. So I'm just poking to see if any tank destroyer shots actually come in our way. That's what I'm kind of trying to find out, because I want to know if I can over peek onto this enemy medium tank and now without taking punishment from the enemy TDs. That does seem to be the case. So now we know there's not much cover apart from that was a ramrod, I think, which just shot us there again for HE. Actually made us use our med kit, which was not ideal. I'm just going to try and reposition to get an easier shot, some better shots here, because that 5A gets taken out. We know there's that ramrod in the far right hand side of the map. There's not a lot I can do. I'm probably not going to spot him, but if our friendly team push up, then we may be able to get some shots into him. Going to overpoke him, kill this enemy tank destroyer, picking up our first shot of the game. Ramrod actually gets spotted and then tracked actually on the right hand side, and we put a nice shot in there to pick up the kill and confirming the enemy light tanks out of the game, which is good. Still fairly even, and the majority of the enemy team seem to be playing the opposite side on the sort of heavy flank, or I guess they've probably got a few tank destroyers, on their base. But one of our friendly tanks has just told me to cover him, and he's moving in. So that's exactly what I'm going to do, because if he's going to push over, that's good, because he's going to detect the enemy team, and I might as well be in a position to try and get some shots in and shoot the stuff he spots and get some assistance, give some assistance for his efforts. So we are going to try and hopefully manage to get another shot in if this TD backs down. Just having a quick look on the left hand side, enemy tank destroyer gets spotted. I snap that shot in, and we actually manage to pick up another shot, puts us into 2,000 damage. Going to try and kill the enemy charioteer, which is good, picking up our third kill of the game. Bring this down to a 9 versus 8. Like I say, it's still fairly even, but we've just gained a lot of the map control now, and that's going to be very good for us. If we can trap the enemy team in that corner, we're going to have a good chance of pulling off a win. And with our friendly tank destroyer still pushing the other side, if he does light, there's definitely still a few tank destroyers up on that ridge. If he does light them, then we'll be able to get some shots in. He actually spots the enemy artillery. We put one shot in, not rolling high enough for the kill, but we may just get a second opportunity at picking this artillery up. We don't, it gets shut down by our friendly light tank, but then we do pick up another shot into this enemy tank destroyer, which gets spotted, and then we pick up the kill there into the Jackson, giving us our 4th kill of the game. There's only now 5 tanks remaining. We know pretty much exactly where they are. We want to try and push over and see if we can get, maybe some more kills, see if we can get a medal out of this, and just try and get as much damage out of this as we can. Keep an eye on that heavy tank to see if we had any shots into him. We didn't quite have a shot. Looks like all these tanks are on this ridge. I want to get up and underneath that ridge as quickly as I possibly can, because that's where the damage is going to be. pick up another kill, confirming our 5th kill there, with 3 tanks remaining. This game is definitely won now. There's only 2 tanks left. We do have an opportunity though for, well, we have an opportunity for a Devastator, but I think that's unlikely unless I can get shot into this heavy. We do have an opportunity for a Top Gun. So we're going to turn, there's a chariot here which is full health. We're going to try and ram him. I want to try and take off his tracks. We don't take off his tracks, but yeah, this is just a case of, can we get that Top Gun in the end? We put him on a 1-shot. Do we manage to squeeze that last shot in time? We do, and that gives us our 6th kill medal and our Top Gun. And that is it for the video. So let's see how we got on. We did get 6 kills, 4,300 damage, having a decent game. So yeah, that is it for the video. If you do like the video, please like and subscribe. It really does help the channel. But you know, as always, thank you for your amazing support and happy tanking.
Hadouken!